coming in, we understand that majority of members of parliament have abandoned parliamentary proceedings and are heading to Ablekuma North constituency, where the rerun is currently ongoing. And our parliamentary affairs correspondent, Bismarck Kweku Asante, joins me with more. And Kweku, it's good to see you. Tell us about the MPs who are sort of abandoning ship.
Well, Christiana, if you look from the videos that you've just played on air, you realize that of the 275 members, there are just about perhaps 40 members who are currently seated on the floor. And I've seen a number of members of parliament who themselves have put out social media posts about how they are in the constituency assisting with the campaign of their various parties. You just see a couple of persons in the leadership benches and a host of members of parliament not here at all. And our understanding is that most of them have gone to Ablekuma North, where both political parties are jostling for that crucial seat. In the scheme of events, it's not very crucial for the New Patriotic Party, because win or lose, it doesn't change their composition or doesn't add up anything really to their makeup in parliament. If they win it, they get to go to 89 members of parliament. The NDC, however, if they win that seat, are able to marshal 2/3 of the parliamentary seats on their own without needing the support of the independent MPs. And that is why it's such a big deal for them. A lot more of them have gone. You see from the video on your shot now, that is the minority backbenches. And a lot of them are not there. A couple of the majority backbenches are also very empty, as you can see in the shot. All of them have abandoned proceedings, today being Friday. Instead of 2 p.m., they start at 12 noon. They have been doing the business statement. In fact, the matters having to do with the chaos that have rocked the election has come up briefly on the floor. The defense minister is expected to answer certain questions. So even though he was earlier on in Ablekuma North, he has actually come to parliament now. And as soon as he took his seat, Habib Idrisu took aim at him and said that he had gone to supervise the beating of NDP officials in Ablekuma North and has now come to parliament. It became some back and forth, and the Speaker of Parliament ruled that those comments be expunged from the records, because he has not provided any evidence to the effect that the defense minister has supervised the beating of NPP officials there. So that small part came up briefly on the floor. But the bigger story is that a lot more members of parliament have not attended to proceedings. And as we know now, they've all gone to the Ablekuma North constituency, where they're helping their respective political parties to campaign with the aim of annexing that seat.
But Kweku, what does this mean for parliamentary business? I'm sure there were important issues that Parliament had to deal with today. So what does it mean now that majority of the MPs have sort of fled Parliament to go and witness what's happening in Ablekuma North?
Well, yes, like you say, there are bills that have to be considered. In the past few days, Parliament has been consistently considering a number of bills. And on the floor is the Fisheries Act that they are amending and updating. And so it is expected that ordinarily that will take a toll on that business. There are a host of questions and a host of statements and other things that Parliament would have to do. But as we've seen so many times in Parliament, whether or not the absence of so many of them affect proceedings depends on the mood. There have been times in Parliament where just with 10 members of Parliament, proceedings have continued, they've considered bills, they've done business, despite the fact that there is no quorum. And no one raises the quorum, so that is not introduced into the record. And so anyone who goes to court or anything of that sort to challenge the current number of the House will have an onerous responsibility to challenge that, because both sides are not raising it. The minority, it would appear, because this is both sides, no one is willing to raise the matter of quorum. And if matters of quorum are raised, usually they are raised by NPP MPs who say we don't have quorum to transact business, to try and block certain business from being done. That has not happened today. It appears both sides have acquiesced that this is another important national assignment that we all have to attend to, because in fact, both the minority and majority leaders are actually not around. They have not been around since morning. The business statement was presented by the deputy majority leader. It is not clear if Afenyo Markin and Mahama Yariga have made their way to Ablekuma North. I haven't seen any reporting that suggests that they are there, but they are also not on the floor. And so it would appear, despite the huge absence of members of parliament on the floor, it will not affect business. Proceedings are going to continue. In fact, tomorrow, Saturday, the House is expected to sit and transact a couple more business. So, you see, the issue is that despite the lack of quorum, in fact, you can just see in the video there, less than 40 members of parliament on the floor. The current number is 92 and 93. That has not been achieved, but proceeding is continuing because both sides believe that there's another national assignment that MPs will have to go and attend to, and they have gone there, and so they don't want that to affect proceedings this afternoon.
Ms. Kotu, how many members of parliament are currently in the chamber?
At the time I left, there were less than 40 members of parliament, and that is being charitable, because you see from the minority side, less than 10 or less than 12, and then you see from the majority side, a little around 20. So that added up, it's not even up to 40, but to just pick the number at a very safe spot. The time I was leaving the chamber, recorded that video, there were just about 40 members of parliament on the floor.
And how does all this sit with the speaker? I heard you say that both parties, the MPP and DC side, they're in agreement that this is also a very important national business. But how about the speaker? How is he reacting to this? Well,
the speaker hasn't raised any issue with this. The Speaker himself, Alan Bagman, is not in the seat. The first deputy speaker is the one presiding over proceedings now. At no point through today's sitting has any matter having to do with the attendance come up. No MP has raised it, neither from the minority side or from the majority side, and perhaps goes into the psychology of the early point I made about whether or not these sides appear to have acquiesced and say that, listen, today we do not care about whether or not members show up or not, because we do have an idea where they may be. The only challenge with some of this is that, having seen the very poor attendance on the floor as we speak, tomorrow when the House sits and you look at the votes and proceedings, you will then see that on the list of MPs who were present, you see perhaps 200 MPs who have signed and said they came to Parliament, although on the floor that was not done. So the Speaker himself hasn't raised this. No one has raised it from either sides of the House, because they believe that this is another assignment that they've allowed members of Parliament to attend to actually ensure that the process goes on smoothly.
And you're saying, this is my final bit to you, that in your extensive experience covering parliamentary affairs, this is normal, considering the current weather of the election in Ablekuma North. Is that what you're saying?
This is very normal. In fact, in the last few weeks, the attendance in the House has been very poor, but today is much more poorer because of the assignment. But anytime some of these things happen, I recall the by-election in Assin North, and there was a similar situation in Parliament, very poor attendance. Whenever there are matters of this nature and MPs are very much interested in some of these things, it reflects very poorly on attendance, and the leadership don't bother making any statements about this.
All right, quick answer there. Thank you. That's our parliamentary affairs correspondent bringing us details. Bismarck Asante, like I like to call him. All right, so Kofi, this is what we have. Looks like nobody's raising issues on quorum. Nobody's sort of asking the question as to where are you even going. It seems normal because there's something happening and they need to be there, according to what Kweku has been telling us. So it looks like we might be seeing some members of parliament at Ablekuma North. Already we've seen some. We've seen the defense minister. He's gone. James told us that he's left. And so, yeah, perhaps we will be seeing more of them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, the most important thing we need to put across is that whatever that happens in Ablekuma, the first point of impact will be Parliament. So it is, I mean, you know, it's sort of like, for me, that it's not surprising to see members of Parliament leaving the chamber.
This is about Parliament.
It's about Parliament. Because whatever happens, it will change the makeup of Parliament. Whatever happens, it will put Ghana's democracy on a different gear, whether we are going to practice a super majority or what we call two-thirds majority of a certain political party. But